All right, we are checking out Tract 4 at the White River. It's going to be a 10-acre property, extremely close to the river itself. And why don't we take a look here? So this is the MapRight interactive map. You'll see a very similar map on the listing page for this property. You've probably seen it already if you're on the listing page. But basically with this mapper, we call it MapRight. They just changed the name. We've been calling it MapRight for several years, and now they call it Land ID. So the Land ID interactive map, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can move it around, you can change the base layer. So if we want to do a topo map, and we will in a couple minutes, we could switch over to that. You can zoom all the way out, and just like Google Maps, you can zoom out and see the whole country if you want to, or you can zoom right in and get a close-up of the property. So it's really handy for this kind of application. You can also get the app on your smartphone or your tablet, which is really helpful when you go to view the property. We've got a little video on that on the FAQ tab on our website. If you want to watch that, it's about a 10-minute video, but it explains how to download the app, how to make sure you've got it working. So then when you go to view the property, if you set it up correctly, you can have the app, and you can have you'll basically be looking at this map with the little colored dot to indicate where you are within this map. So that's what is so nice when you go to view a property. If you've set up your MapRight app correctly, you can get a good idea not only when you're at the property, but you can walk around and be, oh, I'm at the north side, or oh, I've gone too far south. So it's certainly not as precise as a survey. I mean, nothing is except a survey on the ground. But the MapRight is really handy. And if you wanted to have your property surveyed, there are certainly surveyors in the area that could do that for you. But MapRight works pretty well for our purposes, or Land ID, I should say. Okay, so Tract 4, it's about 330 feet wide by about 1320 north to south. So nice size, pretty standard rectangular 10-acre tract. It's really extremely close to the water. It's about a quarter mile from the actual river, and not only that, but from the actual access point to the river, which is right here. So from your property, or from Tract 4, on this map, the greenish lines are the county road, and the purplish lines are the existing easement roads that have probably been there as long or longer than the county road. But from your property, you'll take the green line westerly, and then down to the river access point if you want to do that. And this straight line you see here, it looks like a road. That's actually train tracks. And the train tracks at the White River are why a great majority of the people really can't access the water, because you got to get across those train tracks. In this case, there happens to be I guess a trestle or a large tunnel going under the train tracks, and then a concrete kind of a launch or a slab going right out into the river. And for quite a while we were confused as to why that was, why no one else had this kind of access under the train tracks, and how that even occurred in the first place. Well, it turns out, we found out the other day, even prior to the train tracks being there, this river access was there because it was a ferry crossing point. It was the main ferry crossing point to get people and I guess you'd say vehicles or carts or whatnot back and forth across the river. It was called Walls Ferry, and that was literally it right there. So when they installed the tracks in the late 1800s or early 1900s, they really couldn't cut off that ferry access point because people needed that to get to and from one side to the other to the different towns. And so the railroad had to basically do that trestle or do that large concrete tunnel so that the people could still get to the ferry boat and use that to go back and forth. And I'm sure the ferry hasn't run for 50, 80 years. I'm not sure the history on that, but the access point is still there, and we like it because you can use that to get right to the river. It looks like it would be a boat launch. We haven't actually tried to launch a boat from there, but we have seen other people that have had small boats in that section of river. So whether they launched it right there or not, I'm not sure about that. But awesome fishing, swimming, canoeing, just right there in the White River. The hunting in the area is phenomenal with white-tailed deer and turkey. The guys put a couple game cameras out when we started this project, and within just a few weeks they had hundreds of photos of a large and active deer and turkey population. So that was really good to see. Why don't we look at Tract 4 specifically? So Tract 4 basically all wooded. I mean, you might have a couple kind of natural openings on there, but basically all wooded. You've got the county road, which is got a funny name. It's Lock 3 or Lock 3rd Road, and that's only because it was or is used to access the dam and the lock, and there are 3 dams and locks from Batesville going upriver, and this is the 3rd one. This is number 3, so that's why it's Lock 3 Road or Lock 3rd Road. The dam obviously is the part holding back the water, and then if you look to the side, that's the lock right there. So that's the little contraption, like you maybe have seen photos of the Panama Canal or any canals. It's got big steel doors on each end, and so a boat or a ship can pull in there. They shut the doors, and then they can manipulate the water level to match up with the water level of which way the river, whichever way the ship's going. So if it's going upstream, pull your ship in there, shut the doors, fill it full of water, and then out you go when they open the other doors, and reverse it if you're going downstream. So pretty cool. I don't know if the locks are still in use or not. I really haven't seen any huge steamships or anything out there like there used to be. Tract 4, okay. So we were just explaining the road name. That's how we got off track there. Let's go to a topo map. The property is going to be lowest in about the middle where that county road crosses over it. The county road kind of runs with a little creek bed. It's going to be a wet weather creek. In fact, I don't know that we've ever seen it flowing, but the couple times we've been out there, there's been some pockets of water here and there in that creek bed. Then it's going to rise up, I believe, as you go each way. But why don't we switch to topo map here, and let's do vintage topo. Okay, that shows it pretty well, I think. Okay, so as we look at this, if you're familiar with topo maps, this probably does make some sense. If not, this just looks crazy to you. We're familiar with topo maps, and it still looks a little crazy, but it's interesting. So what we've got here is that the topo map is showing a black line, which is where we have our green line, and that's the existing road. As you go, well, let's start with this. The lines you see on the topo map are called contour lines, and they're indicating a change in elevation. So on a lot of topo maps, including this one, the elevation change between 2 contour lines is 20 feet. So when you see these darkened lines, the only thing special about those is every 5th line is a darkened line, and that way it makes it easy to glance and look at a 100-foot interval. So when we're looking at this, basically if you only remember one thing about topo maps and contour lines, remember this, that when the lines are further apart, it's flatter. When the lines are closer together, it's steeper. And we've got extremes of both on this one tract. So as we look, starting from the county road and going south or going down, we basically have no lines. You have this big no line area, and then the little blue line for the what the topo map is calling the middle of the creek bed, which is usually generally accurate, although that can shift as years and decades go by. So it's telling us that from the county road going south, it's basically level, and that doesn't mean level like flat like a soybean field or the Walmart parking lot. No, there can be some variation in there, but not enough variation that it warranted a contour line. So it's probably pretty darn flat, other than the creek will have cut out some different stuff and whatnot, but you're not going to have any huge ups or downs in that section. As you continue going south, now we hit the contour line, so now it's rising up 20 feet, 40 feet, 60 feet, 80 feet. As you get to, well, I guess the highest point would be down here at about the middle of the south side, where it appears to be about 140 feet above the creek bed. So that's rising up pretty good there. If you look here and kind of follow the white glove, that's going to be at about the middle of a ridge that comes down toward the creek bed. So if you wanted to do you know, a walking trail or a four-wheeler trail or even a driveway, it does have kind of this middle of the ridge where you could either, you know, curve a trail in there, or maybe just run it down the, you know, shoot for the more level areas on the ridge. And you never know without, you know, getting out there and seeing firsthand. But the topo map is showing that maybe here toward the east side, the southeast side, you get about halfway up that hill and there might be a level, fairly large level area. But again, topos really more for general use. They can be pretty darn precise, but we've also seen them just, you know, not be that precise as well. But I think this has given us a pretty good idea. Also, if you look at this, and if you've been looking at topos for a while and combined it with looking at actual properties, then you know that these kind of sideway V's are basically a little valley that's going down within the hillside itself. So that goes down and cuts to the west, ends up at the creek bed. You've got the start of another one here that goes down, cuts to the west. So that's interesting for two reasons. Number one, that could be a very good place to look for live springs. Excuse me. Is in a natural valley like that. And number two, that could be a very good place to look for caves, which often go hand in hand with live springs. So that's something that Tract 4, more than almost any other tract out here, if you are excited about maybe trying to find a live spring or trying to find some kind of small, medium, or large cave on your property, some tracts are better than others as far as what we normally see when we discover a cave or a spring or whatnot. And Tract 4 kind of ticks a lot of the boxes on that one with the way this ground is, the existing ancient creek bed at the base, and then these at least two spots of the natural little valleys going down. That's a place we would immediately want to check if we were looking for you know, a live spring or some type of cave. The other place we would check would be on this north side, actually. So the north side goes up steeply. So remember before we said when the contour lines, I think we said that, when the lines are close, the property's steeper because they're indicating elevation change. And so whereas before, if we start at this 1320, and the 1320 is just indicating the approximate north to south distance of this property. But if we start at there, for instance, and follow this ridge up diagonally, we go 20, 40, 60, about 80 feet in height difference over whatever distance that would be, about, I don't know, 450 feet maybe. Now let's contrast that with starting at the county road and going 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. I mean, we're 100 feet up, and we've actually only gone, you know, 250 feet of distance maybe. So that's pretty steep. And that I don't know that that's a bluff or a cliff. It may be, but we don't remember seeing anything like that out there. So make no mistake, that is steep. Even if the map is not quite accurate, that's steep. And then as you get up toward the north side, it levels off. Now here's the huge bonus about Tract 4, and this applies almost as well to Tracts 3 and 5, is you've actually got that existing easement road that goes up to the north side. And so without that road, I mean, you're not going to get a vehicle up to the north part of Tract 4 without some major dirt work. I mean, you're talking several days, if not weeks, with a pretty good-sized dozer and a skilled operator if you want to create a good driveway, because what you'd have to do, obviously, is start at one side or the other and kind of angle it up, and very likely do a switchback about halfway. I mean, it could be done, and I don't think we've ever done one on a slope quite like this, but we've had them done on slopes almost like that, and you can absolutely do it. And it's going to cost you several $1,000s, and you know, it might take longer than you think, and it still might not look that great. But in this case, because you have that existing easement road, you can drive right up as it is. I mean, you still want your four-wheel drive for any property out here. You got to have a four-wheel drive truck or SUV. But we've been up and down that road several times, and it just hasn't been an issue. So you actually do have, excuse me, physical access to the north end of Tract 4, which is great, because that likely provides I don't know if it's subjective to say that the best building site, because it depends on what you're looking for, but it would be the easiest place to build and have, you know, level area to park, level area to have a cabin or a campsite or whatnot, you know, on the north side. Except you're going to have a level area south of the road, but come on, you don't want to build there. That's right where that creek bed is. And so even though we may not have seen that creek, you know, flowing, there's going to be times, whether it takes a year or 2 or 5, where there's going to be, you know, water coming through there for a couple hours at least. So you don't want to put anything too substantial there, anything you care about anyway. But here up on the north side, that's obviously high and dry. You've got some level ground. I think you've got more than enough space to get beyond the setbacks from that road for building and parking and camping. Excuse me. And you're going to end up with a really nice private site, which probably is going to have some awesome views, especially to the south, possibly to the north as well, and the west, the way the ground drops. Pretty cool. So Tract 4 would be a really fun one to explore. Let's go back to aerial map, and we'll try to keep this short, but and I think we covered this in a different video, but just because we're here, we'll show you where Batesville is. So Batesville, Arkansas is going to be the closest town. That's the county seat for Independence County, where the property is located. Here's Batesville down here. You can see actually the White River, which runs right down and through the south side of Batesville, basically. So from Batesville, take Highway 69 to the north or northwest for about 9 miles to the little tiny town of Cushman. You'll go west onto Colleytown Road. So directly off of Highway 69, there's several, you know, turnoffs off of 69, but look for Colleytown, and then take that for a little over 2 miles. What is it? 2¼ miles. We've got it pegged at, and then look for Kelly Road, and you're going to go left onto Kelly Road. That's going to be paved as well. So now we're showing that as purple. Kelly Road is the purple line on this map. Stay on Kelly Road for about 2½ miles, and then you're going to go right onto Lock 3 Road, and that we've got indicated as the green line here. So Lock 3 Road is gravel. Kelly Road continues, and it actually on this looks like maybe Kelly Road turns to gravel, so that could be confusing as well. So but look for that Lock 3 Road. Now it could be extra confusing because Lock 3, as it's shown on the map anyway, winds through and then comes back around into Kelly Road. So if you happen to miss it up here and you see it down here, you might think you're on the north, and really you don't want to come in on the south. You want to come in on Lock 3 on the north. In fact, the 1 or 2 times that we've tried to use this south road, it's just been impassable. The road has been washed out. Potentially that's been fixed. Not sure about that. But either way, you want to come in on the north to get to Tract 4. So you'll take that in, take Lock 3 in, which, as I mentioned, is a county road. You'll go a little over 2 miles, I believe, and you'll finally get the county road comes in. It comes in on Tract 6, and then you'll actually see a pretty large yard over here on the right, on the north side of the road, and a little house set back. And that's basically the last house on Lock 3 Road. And so that's as far as the county really has been maintaining this county road. So you'll get beyond that, and it'll definitely start to get rough. That's why you want your 4-wheel drive truck or SUV. We've been out there many times and seldom needed the 4-wheel drive, but there's been a couple times we've used it. If it's been super wet, you know, we just really haven't planned a trip out there because that could be potentially rougher than we want to deal with. But just something to keep in mind is you do absolutely need a 4-wheel drive truck or SUV, not only for the 4-wheel drive, but for the extra clearance that you'll get with the 4-wheel drive. We know that some people have 2-wheel drive trucks that are amazing, but the reality is if you show up in a 2-wheel drive and the conditions are rough, we know you'll make it through, but we don't know you'll make it through. We don't doubt that you'll make it through, but you're going to tear up the existing road system. And this road system has been in good shape for decades, it would be a shame if someone thoughtlessly came in with a non four-wheel drive vehicle and you know, destroyed it for everybody else. So do bring a four-wheel drive truck or SUV. Tract 4, I mean, set aside a few hours because you're going to want to explore this. I wish we had time to explore, ideally, all these tracks, but I wish we could kind of, you know, pick certain ones like Tract 4 and spend the day and just really check it out, because I just have a feeling there's going to be some super cool stuff on Tract 4. And whoever ends up getting it's going to be excited to see what they can see. So we'll cut the video off here. We've already gone over 20 minutes. We could just keep going, but we'll let you check out the other videos and whatnot on the listing page. That's going to be Tract 4 at the White River. It's going to be about 10 acres in size. And if you have any questions about the property, about our awesome instant owner financing, about anything at all, just give us a call. We would love to hear from you.